financial problems, elder law, criminal law, tax problems, business matters, divorce, personal injury, bankruptcy, your life, your reality. Life is complicated. There is the law and there is reality. Welcome to Law and Reality, sponsored by THAV GROSS. Now here's your host, Ken Gross.
Welcome to this segment of Law and Reality. Today's topic is tax and debt and Chapter 7 elimination. I guess Brian and Jeff are going to have a lot. Well, all we have are Brian and Jeffs. Brian Small, good morning.
Good morning. That was so confusing that I just say good morning.
Well, you're the easy one because we only have one Brian. There is only one.
You are correct. There
Brian.
is only one.
But there are two Jeffs. Jeff Linden, good morning.
Good morning, Ken.
Jeff Kirshner, good morning.
Good morning. How are you, Ken?
Good, thanks. So now that we've got that straightened away, we'll go back a little bit to the one and only Brian.
Oh,
Chapter
that's Brian.
7.
Okay.
Yes.
What are the basics?
So Chapter 7 is a form of bankruptcy. It is the least costly, most effective method to eliminate debt. One and done is how we refer to it. You file Chapter 7 if you otherwise qualify. You eliminate the debts that you owe and keep most, if not all, of the assets that you own.
Question. What
Yes.
about, I have an IRA. Do I get to keep it?
Yes.
What about my 401k?
Yes.
What about my 1968 Corvette that's in the garage?
Depends.
What does it depend on?
So you are allowed to keep certain assets through something called exemptions. Okay, you get to keep so much stuff, and your stuff can have certain values, and your Corvette, if it's worth $100,000, we're going to have a struggle on keeping your Corvette if it's paid in full.
It's worth about 20.
We probably can come up with a way to keep your Corvette.
Okay, good.
But
What
That
about my tennis rackets?
tennis rackets are assets. Everything that you own, all the way from your socks and underwear up to your Corvette and everything in between, is an asset that's owned by you that can be protected by an exemption under the bankruptcy code.
I have two sets of golf clubs. One set I don't want, one set I want.
Well, then you can give up the set that you don't want.
Okay, that's fine.
And that's part
The
of it.
set
We
that
may
I
have to
don't
pick
want
and choose.
is the double bogey set. The set that I'm going to keep is the bogey set.
Okay, that's I've seen you play golf. That's probably a correct
Probably
decision.
a fair statement. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. What about cars?
So, truly, forgetting the Corvette that you're talking
No,
about.
I'm talking about I'm leasing a car or I'm buying a car.
If
with
you're leasing a
installment
car,
payments.
you can keep your leased vehicle. We sign an assumption of the lease, and you continue to keep the car, and you pay for it. Or you can give it up if you
Suppose
don't want to.
Suppose my payment's too high and I want to get rid of it.
Then we can get rid of it by giving it back to the bank. This is the choice that you get to make. Certain debts you get to either assume or reaffirm, and certain debts you can give up and walk away from.
So how long does this process take?
A Chapter 7, from start to finish, if you walk into my office with all the documents that I need and we're ready to file, from start to finish is 4 months.
Do I have to go to court?
One hearing, and all of our hearings currently for Chapter 7s are by Zoom. They're all over the internet. You get to sit in the comfort of your home talking to your phone.
And what is the purpose of a hearing, by the way?
Are you on video or are you just by phone?
Well, it depends on your ability. They have to be able to hold it at least by phone. Most of them are on video.
Can I do one of those masks that my kids use with the iPhone where I'm on video but I have like a mouse face over me?
I
You're
would
not a
prefer
cat-
that
I'm
you
not a
don't
cat,
do
Your
that.
Honor.
Yeah.
You do have to provide your identification, your social security card.
Okay.
And Jeff, I'm sorry, what was your question?
The question is, what is the purpose of a hearing? You're filing it, so I
So
assume it's a lot of
it's-
documentation.
so-
What's a hearing for?
It's called a meeting of creditors. And where it is your creditors have an opportunity, and the trustee has an opportunity to investigate the veracity of the documents that you have provided to the court. You file a petition in bankruptcy under oath, swearing to tell the truth and disclosing all of your assets and all of your liabilities. Creditors have the right to come in and question whether or not you're hiding something.
How long do these 341s take?
Actually, the majority of them take 3 to 5 minutes.
Basically, we started off and say, your name, did you read the petition? Did you sign the petition? Was it true then? Is it true now? Is this your driver's license?
Right. I mean, the
That's
reality
it.
is
It's
that
fast.
we've already done all the hard work before we have the hearing. We want to make that hearing as easy on the client as possible. So what we do is we do a deep dive into assets and liabilities and make sure that we have everything properly disclosed so that the hearing goes smoothly. You can watch these hearings because they're public, and a lot of them don't go smoothly. Ours do. So,
Because we prepare.
So the creditors really don't challenge what you file until the time of the hearing, or do they have an opportunity before to challenge?
they have an opportunity before and afterwards if they believe that a debt that is owed to a creditor should be determined to be not dischargeable. They have the opportunity to file what's called an adversary complaint, where they file a lawsuit that says, "Hi,
Suppose
your debt that you owe me, you can't wipe out because you incurred it by fraud." As an example.
Suppose you committed fraud on someone and they sued you for fraud and got a judgment against you based upon fraud, or an intentional tort. You assaulted somebody. Those things can be accepted from the discharge, but how it works is you file the petition. The creditor then has to file an adversary claim to accept the debt from the discharge. So the burden is on the creditor to challenge you on the bankruptcy. But generally speaking, how often do we have that situation?
That's
Very
truly
rare.
extremely rare.
But this sounds like it's not just a simple process where if you just go on the internet and get
You can't-
Robert Shapiro's forms and fill out some forms, it's much more complicated.
So we call that a
you-
pro se case.
You're leading yourself into a
and
dark
those are
hole, right?
disasters. I end up taking over a lot of pro se cases, and here's the reality. It unfortunately costs the client probably 3 times as much to come in and have a case fixed as to do it right the first time. So
Yeah.
it's
It's
not recommended to do it by yourself.
It happens, but it's always a mistake. There's an old expression for lawyers. The lawyer who represents himself has a fool for a client.
Well,
The client who represents himself, who isn't a lawyer, is just plain foolish.
I explain it like this to clients. They say, "Can I do this myself?" I say, "Absolutely. Did you know you also can take out your appendix by yourself?" But we're not recommending that either. I mean,
We'll take a break, but if you do it by yourself, you need anesthesia.
Is the debt piling up? Struggling to get by?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, it's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. But you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Call the experts.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP. Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call THAV GROSS.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call THAV GROSS. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
We were just spinning. We just didn't know what was going to happen next.
At Samasco Law, we deal with these issues every day, especially elder law. Pat went to work for Fran.
Patrick was there holding my hand, kept saying, "We'll get through this, we'll get through this."
He got her husband Medicaid and in a nursing home. Samasco Law got the success they deserved.
Samasco Law is definitely family to me. I really appreciate knowing all of you.
You can't work. You have to deal with pain and stress. Worse yet, our system for applying for disability benefits seeks to deny you the benefits you're entitled. Jeff Kirschner is an expert in obtaining disability and workers' compensation benefits for his clients. You need to call Jeff before you apply or after you're denied to get the benefits you deserve. 888-235-HELP. 888-235-HELP. Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. there is a solution.
We're THAV Gross. Our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call THAV Gross.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call THAV Gross today, 888-235-HELP. If you're retired and in a financial crisis, there is a way out.
It pains me when I see a retired couple exhaust their savings by paying credit card bills and for a home hopelessly underwater.
THAV Gross specializes in helping retired people in financial crisis.
You just can't keep paying until you're broke. You need to address the problem now.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
We're THAV Gross. Our firm will solve your problem.
Is the debt piling up? Struggling to get by?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, it's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. But you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Call the experts.
We're THAV Gross. Our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
We're back. So, let's talk about taxes now. Are taxes dischargeable in bankruptcy?
Sometimes.
Yes,
Oh.
sometimes.
I'm right. He's right.
What's the
But
rule?
So,
What kind of taxes are dischargeable?
income taxes are dischargeable in bankruptcy, and there's a 3-year, 2-year, 240-day rule. The taxes had to have come due at least 3 years ago. They had to have been filed for at least 2 years, and you couldn't have been assessed in the last 240 days. Now, as it happens, that rule applies in the 6th Circuit where we are. It differs in other circuits, including the 7th, the 9th, and others.
How does it differ?
If you don't file your tax returns timely in your other circuits, they potentially are non-dischargeable.
So you have to file timely.
Normally,
in our circuit,
in our circuit,
our
you
circuit,
don't.
You just
No.
have to have filed the returns.
They
So
had
you
to be
can't have-
filed for at least 2 years.
What's an SFR?
So that's a substitute for return. That's what your battle is. If you wait to file your return and the IRS files a return for you,
What is an SFR? You're the tax man.
It's a tax return. So the IRS can file a return for you if you haven't filed after a period of time. People forget that if they have a job where they get a W-2 or they get issued 1099s, that information goes to the IRS. So the IRS knows what you make. They don't know what your allowable deductions are other than the standard deduction. If you wait too long and you don't file, the IRS may file a return. One, not only does it kill your ability to get bankruptcy for those years' taxes.
yeah, because you
but
cannot discharge a substitute for return.
Right.
It's not considered a tax return
so you
for
can't
bankruptcy
get,
purposes.
You can't get the bankruptcy for it, and your tax bill is going to be way overstated.
What if you didn't know you had to file a tax return?
You are supposed to know.
More importantly, though, when do people get into those problems? How long does it take that you don't file taxes before the government comes knocking on your door and said, if you don't file, we're going to file for you?
They don't have to.
They
knock
don't
on your
have to
door.
They
knock
don't
on your
knock.
door.
They just file it.
So-
They just
okay.
mail it to you.
Okay, so what's the general ballpark time frame?
There isn't one because they can do it at any time. It generally won't happen within the first year. Anytime after the first year, it could happen anytime.
Remember, IRS has more enforcement money coming, so they're going to start getting better on boning up on these things that they've been lax
Where
on
allegedly
over
they're
the
hiring
last-
more
over the
agents.
last 10 years. Yeah. Oh, and
Right.
so that stuff's going to be happening more. It's easy for them to do because it's all database driven.
Right.
They have the W-2s, they have the 1099s. Once they have the IT together, they will get to a point where they're automatically processing substitute returns on a designated time frame
Right.
on a regular basis. So it's going to happen. The point is, it's a stupid mistake. If you owe any taxes and you don't file your return on time, you've increased the liability by 25%.
And isn't
It
it?
doesn't matter if you're going to discharge it in bankruptcy, no big deal. But if they file the return for you, you take away your bankruptcy card.
And it's even worse than that, because right now you've got the 25% penalty for non-filing, you've got an accruable 25% penalty for non-payment, and on top of it, the IRS is now charging real interest.
6%
6%.
on not only what you owed in taxes, but 6% on the 25% not filing penalty, and 6% on the 29,
And that 6% is going up.
And
non-payment penalty.
if you can't pay, you've got difficulties with payment, there's solutions that you guys have to help. If you don't file, though, that's a crime not to file your taxes.
It's a
There's
crime
criminal
also.
problem not to file.
Yeah.
So file, deal with the money after. But if you don't file, then not only do you owe the money,
Right.
but you've got criminal issues as well.
Right, and one of the solutions is a bankruptcy, if you meet this criteria. The other thing, though, if you're an employer and you don't pay your payroll taxes, you don't pay the withholding to the federal government, those are never dischargeable in bankruptcy.
And that gets assessed against you as a trust fund liability.
Yeah, so not only does the business owe it, but after a while, a fraction of it, but a significant fraction, will get assessed to the owner or responsible person. If you're a bookkeeper and you're the one who makes those decisions and pays those taxes or
You can
doesn't,
be held
you
liable.
can be held personally
Yeah,
liable.
it's something that something that every bookkeeper needs to know, and every office manager who's signing the checks and deciding what bills get paid. You can be on the hook if the boss tells you don't make the federal tax deposit. That doesn't take you off the hook. The
Right.
boss is on the hook, but you're on the hook. And then, do you think the boss is going to come to your aid when he's no longer in business and the IRS is breathing down your back and his back? The boss is going to look out for the boss's kids, the boss's wife, not going to look out for the ex-employee.
You know, one of the things
That's the reality.
that we don't mention very often also, though, is sales tax is also a trust fund tax.
Right.
And people get in a lot of trouble with the state of Michigan for not paying over sales tax. And it's just as not dischargeable in bankruptcy.
So if it's not dischargeable in bankruptcy, before we talk about doing it with a case study in the next segment, what are the other remedies that you have? Do you have a way of helping people on their tax problem?
We have tax collection alternative remedies that include installment plans, offers in compromise, not collectible status, and leveraging expiration under statutes of limitation.
So the offer in compromise is the one where, based upon your income and the assets you have, you can settle for pennies on the dollar. So you don't think we always look at it this way. If it's dischargeable in bankruptcy, that's simple and solid. If you qualify for an offer in compromise, that's also a very good solution. But the offer in compromise has a 5-year rule that says you have to stay clean for 5 years even after your offer is accepted. Otherwise, they can pull it back and hold you liable for it. So the bankruptcy is the best. Offer in compromise is great, but the other alternatives also work. Don't think that you're without a remedy, but the bankruptcy is a great remedy.
Absolutely.
And you want to make sure you avail yourself of it by making sure you file those returns.
And just for the record, what Ken means by stay clean is you have to file your tax returns for the next 5 years on time, pay them on time, have no carryover liability, and
Take regular showers.
take
It's
regular
not-
showers too.
If
Stay
you
clean.
have a track record of having if you're self-employed and you don't make your estimates on time and getting those returns in on time is difficult and always paying is difficult, staying clean for 5 years after an offer in compromise
Can be
is not
challenging.
simple.
No.
It's easy if you're a W-2 employee. Have them withhold enough taxes, you don't have to worry about it. But if you're self-employed, we understand staying clean is not an easy thing to do. Self-employed people, it's always a struggle to stay on top of your tax liability. We'll take a break, we'll do a case study, and give you an example of how we get rid of taxes with bankruptcy.
Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call THAV GROSS.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call THAV GROSS. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP. Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
We're THAV Gross. Our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call THAV GROSS.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call THAV GROSS today, 888-235-HELP.
I was married for 57 years before my husband died.
Samasco Law had established a trust for them before this happened.
There's so much to do in the beginning, but after about a month, you're kind of alone.
We deal with estate planning and trusts every day.
If you continue to have good support and know that your finances and your estate is in order, that's one thing that's so comforting. I would just highly recommend some Masco Law.
You can't work. You have to deal with pain and stress. Worse yet, our system for applying for disability benefits seeks to deny you the benefits you're entitled. Jeff Kirschner is an expert in obtaining disability and workers' compensation benefits for his clients. You need to call Jeff before you apply or after you're denied to get the benefits you deserve. 888-235-HELP. 888-235-HELP. If you're retired and in a financial crisis, there is a way out.
It pains me when I see a retired couple exhaust their savings by paying credit card bills and for a home hopelessly underwater.
THAV GROSS specializes in helping retired people in financial crisis.
You just can't keep paying until you're broke. You need to address the problem now.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem. Time for announcements. I want to remind our viewers to listen to us to Law and Reality Live on the Praise Network, Tuesdays 10 a.m. and Saturdays 7 o'clock a.m. and on KISS 105.9, Sundays 7 o'clock a.m. Remember, you can always come into the office for a free consultation, or if you're concerned about COVID or any other issues, you can do a teleconference or a phone conference, but you're more than welcome to come on in. We're doing conferences live and in person. Just call 888-235-HELP or go online and sign up. Debt issues, tax issues, estate planning issues, business law issues, elder law issues with Pat, disability issues with Jeff Kirschner. Sign up at lawandreality.com or call 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-4357. Also, go online for free reports. Resolving Tax Problems, The Real Solutions by myself and Jeff Linden. Bankruptcy, Is It Right for Me by Brian. How to Save Your Home from Foreclosure, Business Formations and Loans and Grants for Small Businesses in Detroit and Michigan, and The Retiree's Guide to Social Security from Pat Simasco. I want to thank our sponsors, THAV GROSS, Simasco Law, and Kirschner Law. Now back to the show.
Is the debt piling up? Struggling to get by?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, it's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. But you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Call the experts.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP. Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call THAV GROSS.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call THAV GROSS. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
All right, we're back. So, case study. Phil and Carrie, good friends of mine, early 40s, two teenage children, Rod and Kiera. Phil's in insurance sales, self-employed, makes $50,000 to $75,000 a year. 2021 was a bad year, made $40,000. Every year depends. He's supposed to pay his taxes in quarterly. Carrie's a manager at a restaurant chain. She's tired, tough times, difficult business these days.
We're all tired.
We're all tired, that's true. $30,000 a year is their W-2. Assets, they have a house worth $200,000, mortgage $175,000, so there's $25,000 equity. Their cars are leased. Household furnishings $5,000. Carrie has an IRA of $8,500. They got credit cards, $80,000 in credit card debt, taxes owed for 16, 17, 18, and 19, totaling $22,000. $5,000 in taxes owed for 2020. Medical bills $15,000. Budget income $4,900 a month. Mortgage payment, credit card payments of $2,000. Right now they're $3,000 in the hole. What do we do? How's this work, Brian? How's this work, Jeff?
Well, we're going to examine their situation and look and determine if they qualify for a Chapter 7. So, starting off with their income and expenses and a family of 4, they're going to clearly qualify for a Chapter 7. Their assets are protectable in Chapter 7. So if I file a Chapter 7 for them, the first thing that's going to happen is their $80,000 worth of credit card debt is going to go away.
Good.
The
What
next,
about the medical bills?
the medical bills, they're going to go away.
Okay, what about the taxes?
That depends. So
Let me hear from him.
Well, 16 through 18 are dischargeable now through the Chapter 7, so those are going to go away. If we can wait till next April, 2019 can go away in the bankruptcy. We can't get rid of 2020 in the taxes, but we can put them in an easy installment agreement for $50 a month or so, and that'll get taken care of.
Do you agree with that?
I completely
So,
agree
so
with
let me
that.
ask a question. Would you wait to April, or do you have to file right away?
So at this point, I would try to wait till April because
Nobody's suing them.
nobody's suing, nobody's garnishing, there's no intense collection efforts, and unless somebody's got a piece of paper with a judgment, the only people I would be worried about in this situation is the IRS coming in and doing a levy.
But
And
you can keep them off their back with a due process hearing if you want.
So
I
you,
can keep them off their back with a due process hearing in between, and then if we get to and we have to file the bankruptcy, that'll stop the levy
I can
too.
think of only one reason not to wait. If Rod says to me, Rod, who's Rod? If Phil says to me, I've got a chance of getting a really good job in March.
see, that's the balancing act. If
We don't want that good job
If
because
Phil's
that
going
might
back
take
to-
away the eligibility for Chapter 7.
right, if Phil's going back to $75,000 a year in income, and he's seeing that things are turning around, then we're going to want to file sooner. So it's all
And it's only a
strategy.
$5,000 tax liability, which is another $50 a month, right? So,
Right.
so we measure it. We don't care whether we file the case now or we wait to June. We'll wait forever if it's the smarter move to do it. The question is, you have to evaluate those facts to make the decision. So where do they come out on this deal?
Well, after a bankruptcy, they come out with a positive cash flow, and they come out only owing, hopefully, $5,000 in income taxes. That's an easy installment payment agreement.
So
to set
they're
up.
going from negative $2,900 a month to positive $1,025, less $50
$50 a
for
month,
the
right.
taxes. So they're going to be close to $1,000 positive a month, whereas they were bleeding at $3,000 a month. They weren't paying their taxes and they weren't paying their credit cards,
Well,
and that's why they got into
the
debt.
reality here is that they won't be going further into debt. Whether they're truly able to save that money is a factor of whether they were continuing to charge on their credit cards right up till before they filed the bankruptcy. Were they supplementing their lifestyle with the credit cards, or can they live within their means? But our ultimate goal is to get rid of the debt so that you can live within the money that's coming through the door.
No matter what the situation is, step one is get rid of the debt. Step two is you want to, and that's where you do budget management and
Yep.
things like that. The long-term goal is to be able to pay your bills out of your current income, not get stuck paying credit card debt and interest, and saving some money for retirement in the future. Now, you do it with the IRA, you do it with the 401k, you do those things, your future looks bright. But get rid of the debt is step one. Have a great week. We'll be back, We'll be back next week with Law and Reality.